Do you fancy a trip out to a flower festival in a quaint English church? If you love flower arranging, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel. All you need to do is to tap the button marked subscribe, and that means next time you open the YouTube app on your phone, your tablet or your computer, one of my videos will be waiting for you. This is Oare Church, which is about a half an hour walk from my home. So on Sunday morning, I walked out with my friend Jan from Flower Club so we could have a look at the marvellous exhibits. As we walk down the path, we can see that the front door of the church is open, which is quite exciting because every other time I visited, we've always used the side door. And the first exhibit we saw was on the font. Wild utility. Now, what could that mean? A beautiful display of autumn flowers from the hedgerow in an old saucepan. And as we went around the back, we can see that the flower arrangers here are trying to go foam free and are using chicken wire to support the massive eucalyptus and hydrangeas. While I was doing a bit of filming, Jan popped out to the side porch and came back in to say the theme of the flower show is beauty from utility. As we come in the usual entrance to the church, you can see how beautiful it is. A tiny church which on previous occasions has lots of scaffolding up on the altar, so I guess enough funds were raised to complete the repair works that were needed. As you can see, this isn't a huge flower festival, but because it's local to me, it's always on my diary of events, and they always have the most amazing cakes. And talking about cake, is it time for tea and coffee? So a lovely little arrangement of alstroemeria in a white teapot. On the walk over, we saw somebody had these growing in their garden. It's quite magnificent. And the little cafetiere here, now those gerberas, a little bit of a casualty. They can be unreliable. Now looking at this arrangement, I'm just wondering whether the flowers were properly conditioned. Did the flower arranger remember to recut their stems? And of course the water's gone a little bit muddy because there are some leaves below the waterline. And the reason I've come in really close here, I was quite intrigued by the plunger, and I was wondering whether the plunger was actually being used as a flower frog. Quite a good idea. Let me know what you think in the comments. And from the orange of the gerbera, my eye was taken to the fiery reds and oranges of these gladioli in a brass pitcher. Such a simple but stunning arrangement. And over on the side windowsill, it's bath time, and an old metal bath, or at least a wash container, has been hoisted up onto the windowsill, and look, it's being filled with water from that metal jug. Some clever mechanics going on there. So we've got the fragrant eucalyptus and then the blues and whites hinting of tumbling water. And the little dots of gypsophila, or presumably they're the bubbles from the bubble bath. And then did this arrangement catch your eye when I panned around to the front of the church earlier on? Work of art. Isn't this absolutely stunning? Very reminiscent of Van Gogh's Sunflowers. So it's an artist's easel with a huge gilded frame and an absolutely beautiful green pot. I wish I had a jug like that in my collection. I'm coming up close because I'm trying to work out how they've got their sunflowers to stay put. And as we go around the back, we can see that the flower arranger has used some of the cellophane wrap to hold the flowers in place. Notice the cable tie there, fastening the jug handle to the easel, and the jaunty angle at which the jug has been balanced in order that it looks right when you view the whole arrangement from the front. The next arrangement has been placed on the floor in front of the altar. Some beautiful terracotta tiles. Now this arrangement looks like a funeral tribute, and I wonder whether it was used for a funeral recently. It's been really well made. I did get down low on the floor to see whether I could see what the base was made of. I'm assuming it's flower foam. It was so tightly packed with flowers you couldn't see any of the foam at all. And although the flowers are aged and faded over time, it has a beautiful ethereal quality. And from the sunflowers in the easel in front of the altar, there's another traditional arrangement of sunflowers on the windowsill behind the altar. And if you go to a flower class, you might know this type of arrangement as a long and low, because it's long and low. And presuming that this arrangement was made using flower foam on a black plastic funeral tray, you can see it's got height to the centre and it tapers off to each side. And just think, if you wanted to recreate this for later in the autumn or even Christmas time, you just need to change up your flowers and perhaps even think about adding some candles in the centre. And from sunflowers to a splash of colour with pops, paint pots. This arranger must have taken so long working out the details of this exhibit. There's a red stepladder filled with flowers, and the containers used are old paint pots, the metal paint pots, which have got paint drips all over them. And as you look closely, you'll see some paint brushes laid out on the slats of the ladder. And then as we look at the floor, the voile netting in the primary colours, red, yellow and blue, and then as they overlay each other you get a little hint of green and orange and purple, which is a very clever detail. So it's clearly early autumn here. The Flower Festival is held on the second weekend in September every year. So the yellow roses will have come from the supermarket. The huge Fatsia japonica leaves that are shaped like hands would have been from someone's garden. But there's lots of hedgerow interest, which just goes to show if you're planning your next arrangement, you don't need to spend a fortune in flowers. The next arrangement made me giggle. Now, did you watch the video I posted when I went to a flower festival at Graveney Church, also quite local to me, earlier in the summer? That arrangement was about using 5 flowers and recycling materials, and the welcome arrangement there, created outside the church porch, was also arranged in a toilet pedestal. This arrangement was made to be viewed from the top. So you can see here a lovely variety of supermarket flowers, the pink gerbera, white roses, the coral orange roses, pink chrysanthemums, white ones too. A very colourful picture. And then we move from having flowers blocking your toilet to cleaning the gutters. I'm particularly intrigued by the mechanics here. So it's an old metal gutter, probably from one of the local historic houses, and it's been propped up using little glass dishes, the ramekins. I think they sell desserts in those in the cold cabinet at the local supermarket. Just look at that glorious autumn light coming through the church windows. And from guttering, we move on to wash day, laundry day. So this arrangement was created around the pulpit, a whole installation using a mannequin dressed up in their work clothes. Look at the pegs in the peg bag, dried poppy stems, really picking up on that sort of wood theme of having the old-fashioned pegs. So lots of colourful soap suds in yellows and whites. Certainly makes laundry day look a little more appealing than it really is. And another windowsill arrangement. Rather luckily for the arrangers in this church, the windowsills have got a flat surface to them. And if you want to check out the mechanics, if you've got a sloping windowsill, you need to check out some of the other videos, and I'll leave a link to the playlist in the description underneath this one. You might particularly want to look at the Flower Festival at Newnham, where the windowsills were at a very acute angle. Jan and I nearly missed this arrangement. It was tucked right up to the refreshment stall. There was a whole array of beautiful cakes. Jan went for lemon drizzle and I had a chocolate cake decorated with Maltesers. and then we had a nice cup of tea and took it out to enjoy the view. And isn't this a great idea, arranging flowers in a dustbin? Of course, you can arrange flowers in anything. It doesn't need to be a typical vase. As long as it holds water, you can put flowers in it. I love the little placement of the disposable coffee cup off to that side. And then as I stood back, having chosen my cake and just waiting for my cup of tea to brew, I spotted this arrangement upon this cupboard. Lovely bright copper colours reflected in the orange and yellow flowers. And a close-up detail here of the church door we came through. So I hope you've enjoyed walking through the Flower Festival with me. Usually this Flower Festival has a bric-a-brac stall outside on the lawn, but it wasn't there this year. What I'll do is I'll leave a link to my thrift haul videos and see whether you can spot what I've bought here in previous years, and also some more of my Flower Festival adventures. I've certainly been to several flower festivals at Oare Church over the years, including I think also a Christmas tree festival, and one year I was invited to arrange to take part in this flower festival, and I was given the mulberry stained glass window to decorate. So I will dig out that video so you can have a look at that one too. Well, that's all for me for now, and I'll leave you to enjoy the view out over Oare Creek. I'll see you again next time.